I've noticed that the longer that I have any exposure to Bitcoin, the more convicted I am about Bitcoin's future. And the dips really don't bother me anymore. I like the dips. I actually feel like the dips are what I prefer. I don't like when Bitcoin's price goes up too fast because it feels like I'm losing out on my opportunity to get to my goals. But when Bitcoin's price falls, before I used to be very worried. I used to think Bitcoin is about to crash. It's going to zero. It's going to 15,000, 10,000, 5,000, whatever the numbers were. Before I used to get so worried thinking that it's over, it's done. But now, the more I understand how Bitcoin works, the more I understand the market dynamics, the more I learn about supply and demand, the more I realize that these dips are always going to happen. They're always going to be happening with Bitcoin's price. If you get what I'm saying, they're always going to happen. You're always going to see 15, 20, 30, 50% dips. But over the long term, Bitcoin's price is always going to go up and to the right. And I personally think that over the long term, this appreciation is going to accelerate. But I have to tell you that even though I've spent thousands of hours studying Bitcoin, I've listened to podcasts, I've read books, I've had conversations with people, I've helped people. They've asked me questions and I've learned through their questions. I still sometimes feel nervous. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think because we're doing something that nobody has ever done before, there's never been a finite asset before, there's never been something to this scale that makes this big of a difference in the global economy before Bitcoin. Everything before this has been captured, has been controlled. We've had every other asset for decades. For example, the US bond market, it's been around for 300 years. The stock market, it's been around for 200 years. The US dollar has been around for 200 years. Gold has been around for 5,000 years. Every market has been around for decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years. Housing has been around since the beginning of civilization. However, whenever we started building houses, whenever we started getting shelter, people always assigned value to it. But Bitcoin is brand new. You have to remember that. If you're nervous right now, we know that Bitcoin's price is falling a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. Remember, Bitcoin is brand new. The price is determined by people who are either buying or selling. And who's buying or selling? Usually, it's the people who are new to the market. A lot of Bitcoin is being bought by people who are buying for the very first time, or they bought in the past. Maybe they bought at $108,000. They're selling now 93, 94,000. Those are the people that are determining the market price. I don't think that you should let their moves determine what you do with your Bitcoin. Your goal here should be to hold for at least 4 years. If you can't hold for 4 years, don't buy. Straight and simple. Don't even buy. I'm going to be around in 4 years. We can refer back to this video and we'll talk about what happened to the price in 4 years. So in February of 2029, we'll refer back to this video. If you want to, leave a comment in February of 2029 on one of my videos, and I'll refer back to this video if I remember, and I'll do a review of what I was saying here. And we'll go through whether or not it ended up being true. I personally think that if you get through these dips, if you get through these drops in price, you're going to enrich yourself to the point where you're going to have so much money that you're not going to be able to spend it in your lifetime. Get through these dips. That's the most important thing. I've gone through multiple dips. I held Bitcoin I started initially buying Bitcoin around $36,000 in 2022, came all the way down to 16,000. It dropped more than half, which was pretty scary, but I kept buying because I was understanding the fundamentals. And to me, just as somebody who participated in the market, I realized that getting a decrease in price is a good thing. The fundamentals haven't changed. Nothing about Bitcoin has changed. The supply hasn't increased. The hash rate is always increasing. Everything is always increasing and getting better and getting better. More people are adopting Bitcoin. More people are buying Bitcoin. More money is entering the economy. Governments are printing even more money. But Bitcoin doesn't change. Bitcoin is always going to be a form of money that has 21 million units. It's always going to have this 10-minute block time. Every 10 minutes, there's a new block created. There's always going to be another block with more transactions being confirmed every 10 minutes. None of that changes. No matter what happens to the price, none of that changes. Bitcoin is going to continue to create blocks to allow people to transfer value, to allow people to store value, no matter what the market price is. The market price is determined by, like I said, new entrants to the market, people who are selling out of panic. These people should be ignored. Don't think about them. Think about the fundamentals. Think about where Bitcoin will be in 10 years. You're thinking in very short time horizons. So if you're thinking from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, you're not going to make it. You have to think from 2025 to 2029 to 2033 to 2037 to 2041. Where is Bitcoin going to be in 2041? So in your situation, make the decision. Are you going to be okay with gambling, giving away your Bitcoin at these lower prices when you know in 2041 it's going to be much higher? I know a lot of people want to sell their Bitcoin and then buy back lower. They expect that there's going to be a bear market, price is going to drop 70, 80%, just like it has in the past. But you don't know if this is going to happen. You can't guarantee it. What if it doesn't happen this time? What if this time is actually different? Because now we have institutional investors. Now we have nation states fighting for Bitcoin. What if this time is different? What if selling your Bitcoin this time means that you're never going to be able to buy back the same amount again? What if we never go back to the previous lows? What if we never go back to the 90K level, 80K, 70K level? I don't know, who knows? Maybe this will age really badly in the short term. But over the long term, we know for a fact that Bitcoin is going higher. We know it's going to $1 million, it's going to 10 million, it's going to $100 million. The amount of dollars in the system is going to continue to increase. The amount of Bitcoin in the system is not going to increase. It's always going to be a maximum of 21 million. There's never going to be more than that. So if you have an infinite supply form of money or commodity chasing a finite supply commodity, the price of that finite supply commodity is always going to increase because more of that infinite supply commodity will be chasing that finite supply commodity at all times. So unless governments say that we're not going to print money anymore, unless governments say that we're going to go with gold-backed currency, or for some reason we don't have internet anymore, Bitcoin's price is going to go up. Don't think about these dips as a time to cash out. Bitcoin is your cash out. You're cashing out from the legacy system. You're going into Bitcoin. You're saving in an alternative system that most people haven't adopted yet. When you adopt something early, there's going to be volatility. There's going to be prices shifting up, shifting down. There's going to be massive changes in price in the short term. Growth is never linear. You have to remember this. Growth is never linear. You can't expect the prices just go from 70K to 100K, then to 150K, then to 200K, then to 300K, then 400K. The longer that I stay around Bitcoin, the longer that I keep learning about it, the more I realize that there are going to be pullbacks. I think the pullbacks are going to get weaker over time, but there will be pullbacks. There will be 30, 40, 50% dips. You have to get used to it. That's guaranteed. There's going to be dips. There's always going to be times when Bitcoin's price pulls back. You have to get used to it. For example, we may see Bitcoin's price at some point go from $100,000 to $1 million. But the more it grows without a dip, the harder it'll fall. So let's say it goes from $100,000 to $1 million overnight. Maybe it'll drop back down to 600, 400, 200,000. But there's going to be a dip. But it may never come back to these prices again. That's what you have to consider. You have to remember that once Bitcoin runs out at a certain price, it's never going to go back to that price again. We're never going to see a $10 Bitcoin. We're never going to see a $1 Bitcoin. We're never going to see a $1,000 Bitcoin, a $100 Bitcoin. Those prices are gone. There's nobody willing to sell at those prices anymore. Once you get that through your mind, once you wrap your head around that, the fact that there's a finite number of Bitcoin, only a certain number of people can own Bitcoin. After those people have it, there's no more supply left. They may never sell again. The people who own Bitcoin, you have to remember, they may never sell for dollars again. They may only exchange for goods and services. They may only exchange for labor. They may never sell for dollars again. So the dollars that you're holding, when you hold on to dollars expecting that Bitcoin's price is going to drop, you're expecting that something that can be printed out of nothing is going to increase in purchasing power. That's crazy. More of it can be created and added to the market at any time. You know it's happening. You know it's coming. So why would you bet on the value of that thing that can be created out of nothing to increase over time? When you do this, you're gambling. When you see Bitcoin's price dropping and you sell and you say, I'm going to hold on to dollars because I think dollars are going to appreciate, you're gambling. You know for a fact that those dollars can be created out of nothing. You know for a fact that the supply of dollars is increasing by 7 to 8% per year. And you also know for a fact that Bitcoin has been returning 50, 60% per year for 10 years. You know this. And yet, you're going to gamble, you're going to give away your Bitcoin, you're going to make the bet that we've reached the all-time high. That's crazy. In 10, 20, 30 years, you're going to regret it. I'm telling you, I've personally regretted it. I saw Bitcoin at, I think it was around 4,000, 3,500. I don't remember what the price was in 2020. Maybe it was 5,000. I don't remember what the price was, but I saw it at those prices and I thought this thing is going lower. I'm going to buy $500, $1,000 lower, whatever it was. Bitcoin never came back to those prices again. I'm telling you this from experience. We've reached a level for Bitcoin where there's more and more people aware of it. More and more companies are buying it. More and more individuals are buying it. So at some point, there's going to be a supply shock. There's going to be a point where there's not enough Bitcoin available to be bought. If your goal is to buy one Bitcoin, you should be using these times as an opportunity. You should be using these times to accumulate more. If your goal is to get to 0.1 Bitcoin, if your goal is to get 0.01 Bitcoin, whatever your goal is, these times with these dips are an opportunity. They're not a time to get scared, sell everything you have, and walk away. That's not the time. The time right now is to accumulate. It's to buy what you can because you have extra fiat currencies. People love it when there's sales on the things that they want, like electronics, cars, toys, whatever it is, TVs, but they get scared when the price of Bitcoin falls. That doesn't really make any sense. When the price of this asset that can give you financial freedom for the rest of your life, when that price falls, you should be buying more. You can think of it as financial freedom being discounted. Whatever Bitcoin's price is right now, the price is falling. You should use this as an opportunity. It means that securing financial freedom is becoming cheaper for you. It's becoming easier for you to buy whatever amount of Bitcoin you need to become financially free, to reach your goals. If you want to save enough for your kids' education, it's 15% off. If you want to save for retirement, 15% off. If your goal is to buy a car at some point, again, 15% off. If you want to sell a house, let's say you've had this rental property that you've wanted to give away and you want to convert it into Bitcoin, the purchasing power of your rental property has increased by 15%. You can now sell your property and get back 15% more Bitcoin. Why is that not to your benefit? The dollars that you're earning from your job, you suddenly got a 15% raise. You can now buy more Bitcoin. Don't be scared. The longer that you're around this thing, the more you're going to realize that these are the times when you stack more, you keep accumulating, you build yourself up for the times when Bitcoin's at $1 million. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to drop to 70,000, 60,000, 20,000. I have no idea. What if we're in the beginning of the biggest bear market of our lifetimes? I don't know. What I'm saying here is that you should be focused on 15. 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 12 years from now. Don't focus on the day-to-day movements. Focus on the future. Focus on where you want to be. Focus on where you want your family to be. Focus on where you want your children to be. If you want your children to be financially free, if you want your spouse to be financially free, focus on the future. Don't focus on the day-to-day prices. Don't worry about the $5,000-$10,000 intraday movements, intra-month movements. Who cares? Use this as an opportunity to buy as much Bitcoin as you can in the short term. Delay gratification. Sacrifice some of the things that you were looking forward to. Buy some Bitcoin using these times as a dip. And in the future, whatever you wanted, you'll be able to get 3, 5, 10 times more.